The Antarctic Treaty is actually about to expire, and I am really curious about what's going to be happening with that, because from what I'm hearing, China is building bases all over the place right now, regardless of the existing treaty. So I'm curious to see what's going to become of when it's an actual free-for-all. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's in 2024 that the treaty expires. So I know everybody's always looking for pyramids in Antarctica, and I'm not against the idea, but I do believe they're there somewhere because they seem to be on every other continent. But the ice caves are more of a topic because those, we are learning nowadays, are definitely going on. There's definitely been some ice cave activity. We've heard about it historically. They talk about New Schwabenland and post-World War II activity, and it seems more and more likely that Antarctica has a lot of cavernous things below. I spoke with John Warner IV, who his father was John Warner III, previous Secretary of the Navy during the late 60s and early 70s. He told his son that the activities in Antarctica absolutely included submarine secret bases manufactured using steam boring drills. And when John asked his father what was the purpose of this activity, he said space operations. So that's the intel as of late and the current state of the union that's changing around us, and people are learning about what's really going on in and underneath Antarctica. They do a lot of stuff in the atmosphere now. The Anita project is a balloon project similar to this one, where they're putting stuff up in the atmosphere, high up in the atmosphere, and they're having this stuff just hang out over the continent of Antarctica, and they're doing deep scans in the ice, which I can only imagine is to look for the caverns below. They want to track everything under there. This is the elevated station proper. It basically consists of these 4 wings and then what we call the beer can. And this beer can is a staircase. At the grade, it drops down. It keeps going. And there's a tunnel system that goes off this way. And that goes to our power plant, our fuel arches, our logistic arches, and all kinds of stuff that's underneath. So where you see the beer can here you can see there's an opening here for vehicles and stuff to get in, but all under here, there's all tunnels and stuff. And that's where we store things, and where the power plant is kind of, I guess, hidden, you would say. I guess, you know what, actually, another thing I want to bring up that I haven't mentioned before. This center section here is designed to be removed. We had a procedure and all kinds of paperwork on it. I found that very interesting. The idea was that for some reason, they told us in case of an emergency, there was like a fire or something, and one side of this blew up or something or caught on fire, that we could disassemble one half from the other. And I always thought that that was very weird, because in that environment, I mean, I'm a tradesman, I'm familiar with this environment, I was familiar with the plans presented to me, and it seemed like it would take an extremely long amount of time, that it didn't seem like something that would be an emergency basis to just go drop a section of the building out. So in hindsight, it seems like there's something else going on there to me. Why would we have to split this thing in 2? This is the thing that I want to talk about the most, since you didn't get to hear any of this part. This is pretty much the main reason that I came here to discuss Antarctica for everybody, because there's weird stuff going on. This is the ice cube neutrino detector. And what they're telling everybody is that it's a receiver, that it detects when neutrinos come through the ice, they contact the nucleus of the water molecule, the reaction makes a blue light flash, and then the resultant is a muon particle. So they're looking for this blue flash with this detector, and they're finding them, which is great for science. But what I've also been letting everybody know is that this device, those DOMs right there, so that's a DOM, stands for Digital Optical Module. There's 5,160 of these embedded in the ice. It's a lot. So now, they drop them all down in the holes, and we can see here, this is at the ice. This is a real picture, and then they superimposed these dots just so you can get an idea of where the cables are dropping down. And then this is just artist rendition. You have the facility in the middle, and then all of these holes indicate a string or cable going down. Each one of those strings is covered with DOMs going down into the ice. This is a giant phased array antenna that transmits. That's what I have found out. It is not simply just listening to things, it goes active. Each of those DOMs can transmit up to 2,047 volts. So this thing is extremely powerful. And that's what I'm trying to impress upon people, is that there's other stuff going on at that station. There's other stuff going on at all kinds of places in the world. And I'm just trying to speak what I know so that other people feel empowered to dig through their paperwork, because it took me years to figure out, to find the documents that state what this thing really does. I provided it on my website at deciphering.tv. In the archive section, you can go and find what's called the DOM document. I've posted it. It's right from the manufacturer's specs, so to say, when this was constructed. It's discussing the parameters of the circuit board inside the DOM, and it's just stating what it can do. Who knows what they're doing? That's what I want to find out, is what's really going on down there. Now that we know that they possess a directed energy weapons system, the fair question is, how far can it shoot? What does it shoot? Who are they shooting it at? I mean, these are all fair questions. I agree with you. We need to find out. In addition to this system being nefarious and not what they're telling us, I also discovered of my own direct experience that the ELF, the extra low frequency antenna system at the South Pole Station, is energized and up and running. It is not de-energized. I figured this out just through standard work. You know, I have to go work on a piece of equipment, and I have to de-energize that piece of equipment. So I went back to the circuit breaker panel and doing due diligence. You know, you check all of the different breakers. This one is this one is that. Oh, there's the breaker that I need. That one has to go off. Hey, but it says that the breaker next to it is supposed to be off, but that one's on. That's weird. Something's not right here. I'm a very safety-oriented tradesman. I hate getting electrocuted. I do everything to avoid getting electrocuted. So the split second I saw that this breaker is not in the appropriate position as labeled, I got my engineer. I asked questions. And I was told that that breaker is on, even though it says it's off everywhere. Even though everything in my paperwork says this thing's off. My engineer said, no, it's on. I said, why is it on? He said, it's I said, it's for the ELF. The ELF is supposed to be off. He goes, no, it's on. I said, but it's supposed to be off. He goes, it's on. Okay. That's the end of the story. You know, Raytheon hired me. The station does what they do. I'm not in charge. I don't get to decide what breaker stays on or off. So I turned off the breaker that I needed. I did my standard lockout tagout. I made my repair, and I went back and I turned my breaker on, and I noticed that that one was still on when I left. So that's the current state of the union for the ELF at the South Pole Station, last I looked. So I do believe that these systems do a lot more than what they purport them to do. And I believe that bad people have a tendency to do bad things when we're not paying attention. That's my understanding. So I want folks to pay attention to what's going on down in Antarctica. I want everybody to be talking about this, screaming from the hills, because the amount of stuff that's very odd around us right now makes me wonder, is this thing just cranking out a frequency right now that says, I guess I could wear a mask, it's no big deal. I guess I could wear a mask, it's no big deal. You know, what are they pumping out? What does it mean to have directed energy weapons and mind control stuff? The Department of Defense was just within the last 2 weeks, they put out an edict for all of their employees to understand that they have a process to go up the chain of command to put in gripes about Havana syndrome. So this is as real as it gets right now. This is the United States Department of Defense justifying that this activity is legit, that their employees are being negatively impacted. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. James Giordano who spoke to the cadets at West Point about neuroweapons and bio-warfare. He wasn't speaking to them about potentials in the future. He was speaking to them as the future leaders of our nation so that they were prepared for the threats that do exist right now. And that's what people need to understand, is that we're currently in a state of war. We're in a state of war that we're just unfamiliar with. We're in a state of war that we're being deceived about because they don't think that we can understand what's going on. Our government is well aware of the fact that we, the people, are getting attacked. But they're not telling us because they don't want us to understand what we're being attacked by. They'd have to put their hand on the table too. So they don't want to admit the weapons that are attacking us right now. There's offense and defense going on. I've learned that the South Pole Station has an offensive capacity. I learned this by understanding that my crew had been attacked, that they've been negatively impacted and are suffering Havana syndrome symptoms since we've left. This is a new terminology for us as well. We've been dealing with the symptoms since 2010. The community is only just now starting to position themselves to be ready for the information that we have to share, because we've already been wounded by this. I'm looking around at people that are getting impacted by systems that they're not aware of, and I am. I see walking wounded everywhere. This is a different form of battlefield. It's not like your buddy gets shot in the shoulder and you can patch him up. These are not the same weapons. Learn about Havana syndrome. Talk to your friends about it. We are in directed energy weapon warfare right now. And there are many factions that have these weapons. And we need to figure out what the hell is really going on this planet. Some of the symptoms that they list are dizziness, nausea, vertigo, heating of your skin. My favorite one is strange sounds. Because again, they're showing the hand but not showing their hand. So strange sounds is voices in your head. It's V2K. That's an existing technology also. So they don't want to have the DoD employees running around saying, I'm hearing voices in my head. So they list it as strange sounds. You can certainly go to your HR person, follow the chain of command, do what you have to do. Be specific with them. I'm sure they have plenty of checks to mark on the form and blanks to fill in about it. But what they're not going to do is go to the mass media and say, we have technology that can shoot a voice in your head. It changes the playing field. It's like George Carlin said back in the day, it's a big giant club and you're not effing in it. That's all that's going on right now, is there's big dogs, they're in a big fight, and we're just caught in the middle.
One of the side effects is all these whales that are beaching themselves because the ELF is messing with their internal navigation system.
The gentleman was just saying that the ELF is messing with the whales and stuff like that, and yep, that's on the list. It's something that the submarine service doesn't talk about a lot, but there's a substantial negative impact to the wildlife on the planet because of the submarine service and these types of systems.
Because that's how they communicate underwater.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So I'm very curious how these systems also interact on bigger and smaller levels. Oh, look at you.
Quick.
Ah, you got it. Because not only do these things do what they can do individually, my curiosity, the line of questioning that we need to focus on also is what these things could do as components to other systems.
Yep.
I'm finding out.
Now you can do this.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I'm finding out, what it does right here, one shot, but I don't know necessarily how this can integrate to other components. Like I'm up in Alaska, so up in Gakona, Alaska, there's a HARP facility.
Yeah.
Very similar to what this can do. Because we have a lack of understanding of each of these weapons, each of these tools, we're looking at them individually. We don't understand how they work together in a toolkit. You know, we're literally we're cracking the dam on this new technology and new methodology of war. So there's so much to learn so fast because we're in the throes of war. We're in the throes of these weapons being used against us. So it's a hard learning curve. You know, it's like getting shot at and you're taking live fire and you're trying to figure out what caliber of the bullet is at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's rather challenging.
Yeah.
But this is currently where we are, and we have every single distraction being thrown at us from every direction right now. Nobody knows this is going on. Nobody's going to focus on this. Share this information, get it out there, and that's all that we can do right now is grow and show, basically. Show people what's really going on, that they've been lied to. It's really easy to show people they've been lied to. Pick anything from the television, look into what's really going on, and show them. It's that easy, because any topic on the television is a bold-faced lie at this point. There's zero truth. So it's very easy to show people they've been lied to. And then at that point, you have a crack in the dam, and you can start showing them other things they've been lied to. It's pretty easy. One of the best ways we can do is with technology, that there's all kinds of new technologies coming out. The United States government, according to the former Secretary of the Navy, which is John Warner III, who recently died, prior to dying, he told his son, John Warner IV, that during his time as the Secretary of the Navy, they absolutely were using submarines to steam drill underneath to make a secret submarine base. John asked his father why. His father gave him an answer of space operations. Those are the facts of where we are today.
Now, how would you define space operations research from Antarctica? How is it like?
He actually didn't define it.
Outside of the universe.
For specificity, that was the end of what his father would answer on that.
Yeah.
That was it. It was space operations. So now, combining what we know, which is the Secretary of the Navy admitting that, me now finding that this device is also a torsion field generator, which provides for interstellar communications at faster than light speed. So there's function number one for space. We bring submarines there and we communicate from there. Because when you travel faster than the speed of light, how do I know it's working, right? If I give you a ship and I go, Alan, I need you to go 100 light years that way. When you get there, how do you say, Roger that, I'm here? So we need special, faster than light, interstellar communications. Welcome to space operations at South Pole Station. I was talking with Dr. Stephen Greer about this one, and he was saying that the neutrinos are also an indication of time and or space travel, anti-grav type stuff. So he's suggesting that the neutrino detector can also be looking for vehicular traffic, which I don't doubt, because of what we learned from von Braun, is there's a high probability that it might just be standard operating procedures for any vehicle to enter or exit from the southern pole of a body. So it may turn out that it's just a high traffic area. And that's why we have the facility there, is to just keep a close eye on everything. All of these things make sense. I don't drop things down to singular ever. What I've learned is that if the government is going to invest $1 million in a thing, it's going to do more than a thing. It's going to do multiple things. The more things, the merrier. The more nefarious things, oh boy, you'll get your funding. You know, that's how these things function. And the South Pole Station is an exorbitant amount of money put into that facility, and it doesn't really make sense to me, the return on that investment for the taxpayers as presented. You know, I don't think we need to spend $350 billion to embed this thing into the ice, you know, so that we can hopefully have a neutrino hit a water molecule. The government's not going to give you the truth. They're simply just, they're stopping withholding it. That's the only thing that happened. Never going to give us disclosure. Everyone's like, it's coming soon and they're eventually, no, never, never, never. They will never tell you the truth. They're just going to allow us to figure it out. That takes time and effort now on our part. We have to start talking and communicating about the things that we know.